Okay, welcome to Troy Planning Commission meeting for December 12th. Please call the roll.
Mr. Cappers.
Here.
Mr. McGarry.
Here.
Mayor Beamish.
Here.
Mrs. Mahan.
Here.
Mrs. Snead.
Here.
Mr. Titterington.
Here.
Mr. Wolke.
Here.
All members are present.
The minutes of our meeting of November 28th have been disseminated to all the Planning Commission members. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to those minutes?
Recommend they be approved as printed.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? They are adopted. First matter on the agenda is the Historic District application for 1 East Main Street. The staff have a report.
Yes, sir, we do. If you
I'm
remember,
sorry, excuse me. There's a little birdie on my shoulder that just says we need to make a motion to remove this from the table before we discuss it.
So move.
There's a motion. Second. Any, no discussion. Please call the roll.
Mr. McGarry.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan.
Yes.
Mrs. Snead.
Yes.
Mr. Titterington.
Yes.
Mr. Wolke.
Yes.
Mr. Cappers.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Move to the table.
My apologies for the interruption. The staff have a report.
yes, sir, we do. As you remember, on the October 28th Planning Commission meeting, we had an application for Grandpa Joe's Candy Shop here at 1 East Main Street for the blue lettering for the name and the red and white striping along the top of the windows and a 10-inch graphic vinyl that would be along each window of the shop in a red of FF0000 and white. There were some concerns from the commission about the brightness of that color. It was directed to staff that we review prior approved applications that incurred red. After looking at the cases of the current reds that were previously approved and still in place, it was noticed that those reds may have been a less bright color, but nonetheless, still red colors, maybe again, not as bright, but red, dark red, and some of those colors have actually varied over time due to UV exposure and weathering. Staff did go back out, place the red and white on the windows, took pictures, kind of photoshopped it to give you a better example as to what that will look like using the same color red as proposed. That is in your packet. Picture A and B, one of East Main Street and one looking at the public square. And as I mentioned, that is in your packet if you'd like to look at that. Staff does still support this application. The owner of the business would like to stay with this red, given it is his branded color in his other locations as well. If the commission doesn't, he will, I guess, look to other alternatives for that. As he's mentioned as I mentioned in the October meeting, he is looking at doing some other types of graphics on the remaining windows that he is allowed under the square footage.
Thank you. Any questions of staff?
Well, I was one that had questions about the color, and I had the opportunity to see what was presented and how it looks in relationship to the other reddish colors. I'll say reddish colors. So since I had that concern, I have changed that thinking because I see what it would look like and the size of which I saw. So I'm now in support of, and so if that takes a motion to approve, I would so move it.
There's a motion. Is there support for that motion?
Second.
Any discussion concerning this matter? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mayor.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan.
Yes.
Mrs. Snead.
Yes.
Mr. Titterington.
Yes.
Mr. Wolke.
Yes.
Mr. Cappers.
Yes.
Mr. McGarry.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Next matter is Historic District application for the replacement of banners on the Masonic Temple building. The staff have a report. I'm sorry.
I move to remove it from the table.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor, please call roll.
Mrs. Mahan.
Yes.
Mrs. Snead.
Yes.
Mr. Titterington.
Yes.
Mr. Wolke.
Yes.
Cappers.
Yes.
Mr. McGarry.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes.
Motion is approved. It is removed from table.
Am I okay to go forward? Staff have a report.
Yes, sir. Attached to your packets, I laid out a letter addressed to the commission by several of the supporting groups that make up the ATP that was given to you earlier as y'all sat down. In your packet is a memorandum also from Assistant Development Director Tim Davis, who's out on a workshop in more detail with the background information that was presented at the last meeting. Based on the comments from the previous meeting, staff has worked on obtaining the requested information. We do apologize for the lack of a formal application at the last meeting. In the packet is a completed application and is attached. Commission's comments and suggestions were taken back to the APT and the designer, Ms. Nielsen, who is not able to be here today. Revisions to the original design have been made. As provided in the packet, the applicant does prefer proposal 1. Ms. Floyd of the ATP is here to present those designs and revisions to you. And lastly, in the packet is the email correspondence with Masonic Lodge granting approval to remove and replace the banners as previously agreed. Staff does recommend approval of the new banners, replacing the older faded banners that are currently in place. And if Ms. Lloyd would like to come up and go through that packet, if the commission so chooses.
Okay, I'll check it out in just a minute. Any questions of staff? Okay, Nicole, if you want to come forward and state your name and address, please, and give us your Hog and Pony Show.
So my name is Nicole Loy, and I'm here as a representative of the Activate Troy Partnership. I'd like to thank you for reviewing the application that was sent to you Friday regarding the replacement of the current banners that are located at 107 West Main Street. Last month, members of the Activate Troy Partnership attended the Planning Commission meeting where the original banner update was presented. When we left the meeting, we found that your questions and concerns were very similar to our own, and so the group met to determine a better way for the designs to represent our city. As you can see from the new design in your packet, the banner closest to West Main Street has a refreshed Gentlemen of the Road Tour badge. The only difference is that there's a blue background as opposed to the current white background, and there's a slight adjustment in the color shades. And the second banner that you see mimics the color scheme of the first and utilizes the exact same biplane as the first banner, with the exception of the words Hustle, Desire, Win and the OH lettering on the wings. The new banner includes a barcode, which commemorates Troy as the city where the first barcode was scanned, and the year 1814, which is when Troy was incorporated. The Activate Troy Partnership believes that these banners represent the past successes of Troy, while also highlighting its desire to move forward with continued vitality. The banners offer a fresh perspective of Troy's heritage. And I'm here and happy to answer any questions you might have regarding the application or the new design.
You want to talk about the changes on proposal 2?
We prefer proposal 1.
You want to talk about the changes on proposal 2, though?
Sure. So proposal 2 was given because of the blue backgrounds on both. So the designer, Jess, who is sorry to not be here today, she's ill, she was trying to see what would be most pleasing to the eye. And so the color scheme represents the current color scheme for the new brand for the city. The navy blue is on the background of both, which means if you're going with the color scheme, the airplane would be an orange color. With the first proposal, since the biplane would be the same navy blue color as in the first banner, then the background was that lighter blue to give a more subtler look. So the second proposal is a more dynamic one. The first proposal is more pleasing to the eye per the designer's suggestion.
Any questions of Nicole? Nicole, I want to thank the committee and as well as yourself for the compromise you made from the original. I think that was a good compromise. Let me ask you a question, though. I am still concerned about the barcode. Mm-hmm. Is anybody else concerned about the fact that we're going to get teased as a city about what the sales price on that building is going to be?
Honestly, I moved to the area and started my job last year, and I thought one of the coolest things about Troy was that the first barcode was scanned here. Mm-hmm. So personally, I don't think so. I think it's a really great fun fact that visitors aren't necessarily aware of. The people of Troy know it's a well-known fact, but people who are visiting, it would be something of intrigue to say, well, what's that barcode doing here? And then have the opportunity to investigate further to see, this really cool fact that happened in Troy.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions of Nicole?
I was just, Nicole, obviously, I think we've worked hard on this, but, and again, I still don't know what that little thing is down there, but we were going to put that in the windows so that, what do they call it?
QR code.
Yeah, that's it. And that would be in the windows and maybe the kiosks, so that would, they could call attention to that, which would give them some of that history that the banners represented.
Absolutely. So
So
there
that's
will
something to
be,
share.
there will be an information piece that's located on the window of the Masonic building and potentially on the kiosks or, other locations throughout the area to provide information as to what the design represents. Just in case people aren't familiar with it, particularly visitors, they may look at it and say, wow, that's really neat, but what does it have to do with Troy? They have the informational piece right below the design, so they can learn about WACO, they can learn about the barcode, and they can see the great history of Troy.
And I think it answered one of the concerns that I heard in Planning Commission about why is that there? And it's so up there. Now it'll be down eye level.
Yes.
And still teach the history of Troy.
Yes, so the informational piece will still have a QR code, but it won't be part of the design of the banner. It'll also have written remarks, so people don't have to scan in order to find out the information, and provide a website people can go to if they prefer doing that instead of scanning.
I understand what you're saying, Mayor. Do you have that app on your phone to read QDR codes?
I could, but I'm
But you don't have
old-fashioned.
it.
Yeah, I do have
Oh,
it.
you do have it?
I do have it, but
I don't have it.
So every new smartphone has the capability of scanning it without an app. So all you need to do is act as if you're taking a photo and put that over the icon, and immediately the website pops up for what it's directed to.
What constitutes a new cell phone?
A smartphone.
You still have flip phone?
You should have the ability to. No, 7 should be fine.
7 should be fine. I'm going to give that a shot. Thank you. Any other questions, Nicole, before we excuse her?
And just to be sure, the proposal number 1 is what you're recommending and asking.
Yes, sir.
Yes, this one right here,
Correct.
right?
And if I may, and I apologize, I missed the earlier meeting, but this QR code that's there, it would just be in that one location by the banners, or are you anticipating it being in other?
So it will
locations?
absolutely be on the informational piece by the banners, to provide people a focal point for if they want information, they don't have to walk around downtown. But it has the ability to be in other locations as well.
With the same information or location-specific information?
It would just be a copy of the same thing that's going in the window, in other windows.
Just correct.
Okay.
So you'd be able to zap the same QR
To
code.
to get the same information from
Right.
any point it's located?
It's going to the same website.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
Does the commission have any other questions of staff or others? Commission want to take action on this matter?
I would like to make a motion to approve proposal 1.
I would second that.
Motion and second, any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Get down to make a motion first. Mrs. C.
Yes.
Mr. Titterington.
Yes.
Mr. Wolke.
Yes.
Mr. Cappers.
Yes.
Mr. McGarry.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we have an application for installation of solar panels on the south side of a portion of the roof at 882 Crossbow Lane. I'll entertain a motion to remove this from the table.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Titterington.
Yes.
Mr. Wolke.
Yes.
Cappers.
Yes.
Mr. McGarry.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Approved and removed from table.
Okay, before staff gives a report, I noticed that we have an approval by the next door neighbor that would be most looking at the solar panels. That was one of the big hangups of our last commission meeting. Do you have anything to add other than that? Staff?
As far as the case, no, there's nothing else changed in the application outside of the commission's, as you stated, the commission's suggestion to staff to get the comments and concerns of the south side neighbor, which I obtained that email, signed email this morning, which the owner of the property and Power Home Solar regret not being able to make it to the meeting today. So, but the south side neighbor is in agreement with the panels, have no issues with them.
Okay, so, any questions of staff on this matter? Commission want to take any action? Oh, yeah, we already moved it from,
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Mr. Titterington moved, Mr. Sneed second. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Wolke?
Yes.
Mr. Cappers?
Yes.
Mr. McGarry?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan?
Yes.
Mrs. Snead?
Yes.
Mr. Titterington?
Yes.
Approved.
Okay, does staff have anything else to come before the commission today?
No, sir.
I have one other matter. In the past, and when we have historic district reviews and color schemes and things like that, sometimes we've been in a quandary as to what the standards are. Does anyone feel here that we need any help or assistance from an architect that might be versed in historic review to interpret what the, I think our ordinance talks about the historic, as it talks about the United States Historic District. I can't find the language here right now. Does anybody want any help on that, or United States Secretary of Interior standards for the treatment of historic properties? I don't know what those are. As far as the ordinance is concerned, the way I read these things, it's kind of a two-part bifurcation. We have historic properties and buildings, which have to have a particular review, but we also have the use of colors and things of that nature in the historic district, which, as it stands right now, I don't think these standards apply to. But I'm asking you if you want a workshop of some nature.
I personally would welcome it, maybe because I've lived in town so long, there's a lot of implied issues about the historical district that when you go to the regulations and the ordinances, it doesn't really clarify those implications.
Okay?
You know-
Is the concern that some colors are not historic?
Well, I think that's always a concern. There was a concern down here at UDF, the old UDF, where we had them.
I think the term there was ugly.
That's a historic comment.
But I mean, if you think in terms of the 1880s, I don't think that we have any colors today that are significantly different than what they had then.
We can still continue to do what we've been doing. It's kind of a gut, by my gut approach.
I understand your concern, but again, in the 1880s, they had a wide variety of colors.
Good, Mr. Titterington.
I know that was discussed, and maybe Mrs. Loy, is that what you're going by, Mrs. Loy? Nicole could speak to when MKSK and Joe Nichols did the downtown riverfront corridor study. There was some discussion about trying to frame out some standards, particularly related to colors. The group, my recollection, and Mayor, you can probably help here, was that would be a much larger issue than what the ATP would want to tackle, but that was certainly something that was mentioned, and we could reach out to Joe, Mr. Nickel, and ask, what that might look like before we get in too deep. I'm sure he would give us some kind of
I think anything would be
Description.
helpful. Yeah,
and that may help us frame whatever discussion we want to have.
great. Can I count on you to take care of that?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, anybody have anything else they want to discuss then?
I just had the opportunity to attend the planning and zoning workshop that was held at Sinclair this past Friday. and well-attended, by the way, and the presentations that I had a chance to go to were very informative, and one of them that I did go was about historic preservation. And so, you know, if we wanted to pursue something like that in terms of a workshop or something, you know, there are some people out there that could lend a hand. But I just thought I wanted to share. I know there were a number of us that attended that, and I, for one, thought it was very valuable and would certainly recommend, if you get the opportunity to go to one of those. There's a variety of topics, all of which are relevant to our community in some form, One of them was about CICs. I thought that was interesting, since we are a part of a CIC. That's all. I just wanted to make a general statement. I thought it was worthwhile attending.
Thank you, Mayor. Anybody else have anything? I'll entertain a motion.
Our last meeting of the year. We're not.
Oh, we're not meeting.
Right, that's on the agenda. We will not be meeting on December 26th. We will once again go through the regular meeting schedule starting in January.
We don't need a motion on that?
No.
Just a point of curiosity, does that mean the commission needs to reorganize at that point?
The organization meeting, when does that take place?
The first meeting of the new year, we elected chairman and vice chair.
Okay.
You gotta wait.
And Mr. McGarry will be chairing the meetings as it stands now in January, but we shall see.
Any other comments, questions, dirty remarks? Entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'm looking for anything
Second.
else to do.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned, and happy holidays.
Yes.